Welcome in, everyone. Sorry for the delay. No, Mouse is a Chihuahua. Just commenting on that. And they have a massive backyard that they go out and run around in. So it's more a case of just taking him out and waiting for him to come back in so I can shut the door and not have freezing cold outside. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in, Dodie, Charlotte, Ariel, Jen, Unky, Teresa. Good to see everyone here. I will just put the comments up on stage so you can see people's comments depending on where you're at. Welcome in, Joel and Sheila. Okay, first of all, and hopefully my MacBook is getting over whatever glitch it's doing right now. I want to say a huge thank you to Sher Cares. I received a lovely little package in the mail yesterday. I've already put one of the wristbands up around my mic arm. And I've also put one of the stickers on my MacBook so that I've got Jack and Lilly there in front of me all the time. So huge thank you to Sher Cares. Very much appreciated. They are beautiful. Yeah, it's so, oh, that's lovely, Dodie. It's such a wonderful thing. I will be sending some of these stickers along to Bonza. I haven't actually told her that yet, but she'll probably find out now if she comes in. So I'll be sending some of these off to Bonza because obviously she spends a lot of time helping out on my channel here. Being here in Australia, it's harder for us to get these, obviously. So, yeah, huge shout out to Sher Cares and thank you very, very much. Welcome in, Baby Monkey. Now, a few people mentioned yesterday that they would buy or they'd be interested in merchandise with Mouse on it. I have put some merchandise in that fourth wall store now that's got Mouse and a mirror. It's got this, and I'll explain this a bit more. It hasn't got the love hearts around it, and I'll get back to that in just a second. But I have put a few bits of merch in that store with Mouse and a mirror. I've also found in that store a few cheaper items that I can throw in. So I've done that. I've done a lot of research and it seems that fourth wall store is probably the best option. I thought I could set something up through Shopify and have a few different stores, but Shopify charges you something like $56 a month, I think, for a subscription just to have stores, which means I'd be losing money. So you're heading out to see a band tonight. That's fantastic. Summer Breeze. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome in anyone who I haven't greeted yet, and welcome in Summer Breeze. So I have added those to the merch. Now, what you can see in, I know, $56 a month for a store that would probably only bring in a couple of dollars a month for me. So I kind of went, yeah, that's just not going to work. So it is fourth wall. That's just going to have to be what it is. What I have done, however, is, and I haven't had a chance to go in and look at how it works, but there's another online thing that I use that I'm subscribed to, which is a postcard thing. Basically, I can post postcards from that website. Yes, I've done a mug with a mirror and mouse on it. I went for the the cheapest mug for people who just want to, something cheap. There's also a mouse pad, and I think I did a cap, and I think I did one of the cheapest style t-shirts. I think from memory that's what I did. Oh, you have a long-haired chihuahua? Oh, gorgeous. I'd love to see a photo sometime of your chihuahua. We used to breed Chihuahua Pomeranian crosses when I was a kid. These days, you would just call them long-haired chihuahuas. So I do have a love for the long-haired ones as well. Okay, so what you're seeing in front of you is a design for a postcard. And that's actually connected up now to my Buy Me a Coffee. It's separate. It's a separate thing. So you can either go in, you can do the Buy Me a Coffee, which is just the, I straight out get the like $5. Or, okay, Mouse apparently thinks he should straight out get the $5. Or I've also now added Mouse. Who knows what his problem is? Sorry. I've also now added a store in Buy Me a Coffee, which I've put the postcards in. And for this month, I put in this postcard. The way it works is if you want to buy one of these postcards, they are $6. And I get $1.50 from that. And what you do, you go in, you buy one of the postcards, and then I can send you a secure link that you can use that goes directly to the postcard app that I've got to put in your postal address, so you can then get it sent to you and you don't have to give me your address. I will be doing a members giveaway by the end of August for 2 of these postcards. So if you've got membership, I will do a members live stream sometime before the end of August, and I will give away 2 of these postcards as well. So I'll just put up different postcards in my Buy Me a Coffee each month. And I'll let you know what the postcard is for the month. So if people wanted to go in and buy a postcard with one of my designs, then they can. I think that just about sums it up. Let's put these 2 back on stage again, because that's why we're here. Tink is a cute name for a dog. Yeah, he probably did. I couldn't hear anything outside, so who knows what it was that set him off. Dogs, it can be anything whatsoever. Don't know where he's gone now. Okay, so I've got a lot of people in vertical chat right now. A lot of people in horizontal. Cool stuff. Okay, so is the mirror and mouse cup only in my YouTube store? If you click on that, that takes you to the Fourth Wall store. I'm still looking at that Canadian site, and I'll still see what I can do about that. So if you are in Canada, I would recommend holding off for a few days. The site that I'm looking at, it looks promising, but at the same time, I don't think I can link it directly to my YouTube page like the Fourth Wall one. So I would have to provide the link probably in my homepage or something like that. So if you're in Canada and you want to avoid paying tariffs, just hold off on buying anything for now. That is my suggestion. As far as the postcards, there's no tariffs on those. My understanding is that the cost is the same. Now, those costs I said is Australian, so it would actually probably be cheaper if you are in Canada or the States. But but there's no, as far as I know, there's no no additional hidden charges on those. But yeah, I'm still working on putting together a Canadian site so that you can avoid tariffs. I know it says on the website for Fourth Wall that they ship from all these different locations. And it has on there that it ships from Canada. But I'm guessing some of these products maybe are sent to Canada and then shipped from Canada or something if they're charging a tariff as well. It's kind of annoying that they do that, but what can you do? It's these tariffs are ridiculous, just in my honest opinion. So welcome in anyone that I haven't had a chance to welcome in yet. So Brandy, Dodie, Baby Monkey, Ernestine, Ariel, I'm not sure if I welcomed you in. Camilla, if you're in here. Anyone else that I may have missed. Anyway, it's a work in progress. I will keep you posted on all this. I haven't actually been in to see how it all works in Buy Me a Coffee. I will make sure that I put the link in my description for this afterwards. I don't know how that barcode that's on the screen works. I think you probably have to scan it with your phone or something. But I will add the link for Buy Me a Coffee. I can put that up now for now, actually, I think. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't put, there's no link in there. Welcome in, Deborah. But I will, after this live stream, add the link for Buy Me a Coffee in my description for the video. So if anyone wants to go in and get one of those postcards, that's how you can do it. But like I said, I will do a members giveaway towards the end of this month. Okay, now who am I looking at? I'm looking at this one. If you haven't been to Sunny's channel and listened to Belinda on Sunny's, I highly recommend it. I will definitely be doing some live streams about it. That said, please don't just suddenly leave my live stream and go and listen to it now. But there was a lot that Belinda said that is worth listening to. So kudos to Sunny and Belinda for doing that. Huge shout out to Belinda. Yeah, it was fantastic. I haven't finished listening to it yet. And I need to go back through. You're in the regular chat now, Summer Breeze, the horizontal. I do need to go back through Sunny's live stream. The reason I didn't get an extra video out yesterday was that I basically ended up in bed with a migraine. So I was basically lying in bed listening to Sunny's live stream. And unfortunately, YouTube just kept throwing in ad after ad. So I need to go back through and listen to it when I'm not kind of wiped out and when it's not getting interrupted every 2 seconds by ads. But it was a really, really good live stream. Lots of really good chat in there. Belinda spoke about Cody. There was some things that came out there that she hadn't spoken about publicly before. So talking about Cody having 2 children other than Lily and Jack. Talking about a bit more about Cody and Malay's relationship. And the thing that really struck with me was her talking about Lily would cling on to Cody's leg and cry and tell him that Mummy didn't like her. this was after Jack was born, and she was jealous of Jack. But, you know, it was heartbreaking hearing that. I need to listen to it again. I think Belinda did go into it more. And I hope it was just a case of new baby. Lily didn't know how to adjust. But it was, yeah, it was certainly something that caught my attention and made me kind of sad. Anyway, I will be talking about that quite a bit. I've got a few things on my job list for today, but if I get a chance, I do want to maybe do a video where I'm just discussing the Cody side of things. Yeah, you do wonder, don't you? It makes me wonder if that's what they felt when the new baby came along. Because, you know, you had Janie and Logan both saying that for Malaya it was all about the baby. So I wonder how much truth there is to that, especially when you hear about how when Jack came along, Lily felt like she didn't, she felt like she wasn't important. I mean, you just look at her little happy little face all the time. She's just, so full of joy. So I hope it was, only a temporary thing. She felt unloved. And that's so, so devastating to hear. Yeah, I mean, I know you've always going to have a change of dynamics in a family when a new baby comes along. But yeah, it was just heartbreaking to hear that. It really was. Anyway, where is this video? Time to jump in and listen to some more of Daniel. So where I left off yesterday, he was heading off, or he was about to head off for another pee break. Be interesting to see how his stories escalate or change after that. Yeah, I do wonder about if he was feeling unloved with the baby coming along, and then with Daniel and his well, let's just say it, violence, let's call it out. I hate thinking about it even. Yeah, and it's the little things like that that make a difference, that's for sure. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a lovely evening and day too. I mean, I can remember, and I get it now, when I was really little, anytime me or my sister had a birthday even, one of our aunts would give the other one of us a little present as well, which is so sweet. Now, when I look back on it, I think that's so adorable. But it is. It's about, involving them with the new baby, just, making them feel that they belong. Welcome in, Vincent. Good to see you in here. And I think, it's got to be a hard juggling act when you're trying really hard to look after a new baby, and that takes up so much of your time. It's certainly it's a juggling act, but it is, it's heartbreaking thinking of Lily clinging onto Cody's leg and saying, "Mummy doesn't love me," or "Mummy doesn't like me." I think that's something that's just going to stick in my brain permanently. Oh, wow. Deb is the original rocker chick. Played the drums for 42 years. My brother is guitarist, so he's in a number of different bands. Spends most of his life is his music, really. Yeah, I think it's, something that, it's something that stuck with me for life. It's one thing that, I do remember from my childhood is that our aunt would always buy us a little present when the other person's birthday, like when my sister's birthday, I'd get a present and vice versa. It didn't help that my sister's birthday was always on firecracker night. So, she always got firecrackers on her birthday, but I didn't because mine didn't fall at the right time. That'd be a good way of supplementing your income. It's the other way around for my brother. He does all his music stuff of a night, and then he works in a music store through the day to supplement his music income, because there's not a huge amount of money these days for musicians. Oh, that is super cool. Yeah, my brother's worked with a lot of big Aussie bands, but I can't even remember which ones it is now. He's sort of, he's, had these connections, but we kind of, just go, "Oh, yeah, okay. Yep, you worked with another person that everybody knows. Good on you." Oh, wow. Your eldest was born on Boxing Day. She got presents 2 days over Christmas. All the others were in June. I had a friend whose birthday was on Christmas Day, and she said that she felt that she was really ripped off with that. Boxing Day, that would be okay, except for the whole side of, Christmas time, you're always a bit broke. I know I used to always struggle with Mum's birthday because she was early January. So I'd always be like stone broke after Christmas and then having to find something for Mum as well. But yeah, Boxing Day would be nice though. Yeah, I know. The whole issue of using getting pregnant to hold on to a relationship or to try and trap someone into a marriage to make them stay. It does happen. And sadly, it's something that many kids become aware of. I mean, imagine being that kid that knows that you only exist because your mother was trying to keep the marriage together or to try and keep a relationship together. I'm not saying that, parents generally say that, but I think you know, I think kids get a sense of that sort of thing sometimes. And sometimes, marriages break up and then kids do hear about it afterwards. Have a lovely evening, Summer Breeze. I hope you have a great time. Thank you very much. Thank you, Baby Monkey. Much appreciated. Yeah, and that's the other side of it. It's a two-way thing, isn't it? You get women who use it to trap men in relationships, and men who use it to trap women in relationships. Yeah. Anyway, it's a sensitive topic, so I think I might move on from that one. Let's have a bit of Daniel. Let's just really snark it up with this guy a bit. Anyway.
The cabins, and then I came down behind Mom's. When I was coming down, I was screaming for Lily and Jack. And that's what triggered Mom to, wake up, because she heard me screaming. And when I came back down, I went straight into the house. And see, at that point I haven't talked to Mom yet. I ran straight into the house to go find the keys, right? And jump in the vehicle and start searching.
You need a sip of water, I can tell, or something, or more coffee. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, my mouth's really dry.
I know. Go pee or go get a drink.
I'll run and grab a drink. I'll be back in 1 second. And then I'll continue the story. Yeah, my mouth's really dry.
Of course it is, Daniel. I know, it's ridiculous. He's running with Sunny's question of why didn't you ask your mum if they were in the RV with her. But like I said yesterday, you would at least ask her if she'd heard them, if she'd seen them. Yeah, exactly. It's like he's so relieved that Sonny's like, yeah, go get another, go hit that pipe again, Daniel. Yeah, look, if she was already feeling, when Jack came along, if she was already feeling unloved, and then a new baby came along, then I could imagine it must have been so hard for her. Yeah. Good point, Carrie, and welcome in. Definitely. He's going to continue the story. He's not going to continue talking about what happened. We know it's a story. We know it's a narrative. There was something I was listening through when I was queuing it back up to this point last night. There was something in yesterday's audio that I caught, but I can't remember what it was now. But so many things that just make it so clear that it's just complete utter BS. Yeah, really, really sad existence for those children. It certainly sounds like it, doesn't it? The way Daniel was saying yesterday in the audio we listened to, where it's like, now Lily, got to make sure that door's closed, and Janie talking about, all you hear is Lily going, come on, Jackie, let's go, Jackie. It does sound like she was mothering Jack. And, little 6-year-old. It's his story. So true. Welcome in, Kathy. Good to see you here. Okay, now that he's had his latest hit of his pipe, let's see where this goes.
Okay. I'm back now.
Okay, thank you. So
yeah, I definitely needed a drink. So
yeah. Oh, I could hear it in your voice. Because I know when I'm thirsty, that's exactly what mine sounds like.
Okay, when I was coming back down the hill behind my...
Okay, I've got to pause for a minute. Welcome in, Shirkers. I just showed everyone at the beginning of the live stream the stickers and the pen and the wristband that you sent me, and I just want to thank you so much for those. Very much appreciated. I was going to send you a message to say thank you last night, but I was in bed with a migraine, so not a lot of anything happened, really. But thank you so much. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Not just the new baby on top of it, but there was a new man as well. So poor Lily, there was a lot of competition. It was quick. I was surprised at how quick it was. I wasn't expecting it, and we've had all this rain. I actually didn't hear the postie, but I would have, dashed out and got it quickly had I realised, because my letterbox leaks, but it all came through fine. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what makes it harder, isn't it, Charlotte? It's not just that there was a new man that she had to compete with for attention, but that he hated her and her brother. Oh, controversy? I don't know anything about controversy. I know that well, I do know that she was in someone's live stream about a week ago, and that person, two people were on panel, and they kind of ganged up on her, and they were really quite horrible to her, and then the content creator blocked her. And that was just from her asking a question. I was actually really quite distressed by it, and I had to message Belinda afterwards, and just, send her a bit of love. But I did find it quite distressing. Other than that, I'm not sure. I know she's been posting some things on Facebook lately, just venting, just expressing her frustration and anger over the way some people have been acting in the case. I thought the live stream that she did with Sunny was brilliant. And I think she did bring some of that up. She spoke a lot about Cody. But unfortunately, yeah, welcome in, Marilyn. I said this before, if you haven't, please don't abandon me right now, but if you haven't seen the live stream from yesterday that Belinda did with Sunny, it's fantastic. And that might clarify probably some of that stuff that was going on. But yeah, the stuff with the other creator, I was really distressed. I was quite upset. I thought it was quite mean. It was, yeah, I think there's probably a lot of people who were affected by it. Yeah. I think people have forgotten that she's the grandmother of these children. She's entitled to ask questions. How can we say we're here for Lily and Jack, and then turn around and attack the person who's spoken for them the most? Belinda I did catch the end of, I haven't caught all of that live stream, but I did catch the end of it because I was just getting audio for myself, and I didn't want to get the rest of the live stream, and she really did sound exhausted. by the end of it. I don't think that content creators realise just how much of a struggle this is for Belinda. How much of a struggle this is for her entire family. And it's really is heartbreaking. Welcome in, Bonza. Good to see you. Yeah, Belinda's always welcome here. She will never get blocked. Chelsea will never get blocked. Yeah. Just, yeah, I won't put any of those comments up on stage, but I just cannot, I just can't with the idea of blocking a grandmother. Belinda and I don't always see eye to eye on everything. She'll be the first to tell you that we don't always agree on everything. But at the same time, I have huge respect for Belinda, and I will do anything to help her find her grandchildren, and to support her. I did a video about the events that happened on Thursday night at Daniel's place and with his brother Justin and their mother. A lot of people think something happened that night. I do believe whatever happened to Lily and Jack happened on Thursday night. From Janie's account of after they got home, and she's like, she came out and Jack was digging for bugs and worms and everything. To me, that's the last solid account of the children that I can actually hold on to and feel that there's a bit of reality to it. After that, everything is so airy-fairy. It's lacking in details. It's lacking in any sort of connection to a timeline. You cannot, anything that's said after that, you cannot sit there and attach it to a timeline. And you certainly can't sit there and attach it to anyone else's account. Yeah, too many things make me think that Justin's got to be part of this. And I also wonder if Ron helped with the cover-up. There's this things there that point towards him helping out. But I think most people now seem to think that it's Thursday night. When I talk about it, I don't see a lot of people saying that they don't believe it was Thursday night. There's nothing seems real after that. That is such a good question. Unless he was and we haven't been told about it, but it doesn't seem that way, does it? Because they've said there were this number of polygraphs. And we look at those, we can figure out who was polygraphed. So I don't know. I hope they've at least interviewed him, just to make sure that they have actually ruled him out. Because why was a grown man sitting in the driveway of the property crying on the Saturday? That's one hell of a reaction over children who are simply missing. I know. That is another one of those leaks from Daniel that it does send a chill down your spine, doesn't it? True. We know about the polygraphs up until June, July. We know about the polygraphs for the blanket because Hayley spoke to the media. We don't know if there were other polygraphs in between that we haven't been told about. Alison Gerard, who's like the media liaison, has basically said we won't get anything more. That to me says that they're at the point with the investigation where anything else that they could release now would compromise the case. I know. I think a lot of us at the beginning were saying, well, the kids hadn't been in school since Tuesday. How do we know something hadn't happened on Wednesday or Thursday? And there's people who are saying, well, maybe it wasn't them in the footage. But I think given how determined Daniel is to see that footage, and also I don't think the RCMP would, well, I don't know, it depends because it would depend on strategy. I kind of feel that it was them in the footage on the Thursday. So it does to me make it after they got home on Thursday. Just looking at comments here. Yeah, exactly. Jack was no slouch when it came to leaping around. We've got some gorgeous photos of him. I love that one where he's been running along like a log or something and he's leaping off. He would have been more than capable of getting out. Yeah. Why nothing about Lily? Him and Malaya, everything keeps coming back to Jack. That's true. There's this whole block that's redacted. The most recent ones, yeah, we couldn't figure that out. We speculated it could have been Patty, but we have no confirmation of that. That's for sure. You're so right about that. Yeah, and my take on that is either they passed because they're so comfortable with lying that they didn't get any response, and I could believe that with Daniel, or the police have lied. Okay. Oh, thank you for the Jules Shirkers. So just trying to look at everyone's comments. There's some awesome comments in here right now. Yeah, that's a huge sign, isn't it? The fact that they're not telling Malaya anything at all now, that certainly says that they're getting closer to a conviction, I believe, 100%. See. Yeah, some people don't have conscience, that's for sure. Um, you left Janie out of that too. Janie has a heart condition or something. Because she couldn't do a polygraph because of her physiology. Yeah, let him cook. Thank you, Carrie. Much appreciated. Oh yeah. Well, when you look at things with the Maddie Soto case, they can also tell things slightly differently. So in Jen Soto's was the recorded interview. It was the one where it was the immunity one, and he hit her at the beginning of the interview with, "You said you didn't want Maddie to come home on this interview." Now he knew exactly what Jen said. Jen had said she didn't want Maddie to come home harmed, but he was trying to get a read on what her baseline was in terms of how she actually reacted when she was upset or angry. So he intentionally said to her that this is what you said, and she fired up. So there's a lot of different strategies that they will use, and they will lie. That they're allowed to lie. Yeah, they were sleeping. Also, he said when they went to Paddy's, they were sleeping, didn't he? Sorry, I could actually hear Janie's voice in that. Is that bad of me? Oh, is that how it works? I didn't know what the jewels were. Someone was asking me about it yesterday, and I was like, I'm not really sure. Yeah, for little kids, thank you very much, sir. For little kids, they really did sleep a lot in the car, didn't they? Well, that's the thing. They don't have to tell us anything, do they? I'm so sick of waiting. Sunny figured it out last night. Oh, good on her. I need to go back through and listen to that again properly from start to finish without that whole dozing off in between and then waking up and going, oh shit, I have no idea what just got said. Anyway, so we've got Daniel and he's doing his running up and down the hill and all this BS because he hasn't actually apparently thought to ask Janie, has she seen or hurt the kids? Now we get it's on the scroll thing at the moment, so it's a criming shame. And I will make sure that I should have been organised and pinned the link to her channel. But I will make sure that I add the link for Sunny's channel to this live stream when it finishes. So that people can hop in and go watch that, because it really was 100% recommend watching that live stream. A really great conversation between Sunny and Belinda, that's for sure. It was one polygraph that I'll never forget. Yeah, what wine do you have when you have a neighbour for lunch? Oh dear. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's evidence in there, and I think it probably is the black eye because of how desperate Daniel is to see it. Because he wouldn't give a rat's what clothes they were wearing, and he should be able to figure that out anyway. So to me, it certainly seems like he wants to know how badly that black eye showed. She said we'll be on tomorrow, just honey. Oh, cool. Yeah. I think I will be. I need to jump in and listen to all that after the live stream, I think. Okay, let's hear a bit more of this from Daniel.
RV. That's when I was screaming for Lily and Jack at the top of my lungs. And I think Mom thought that the kids might have been out in the yard and I was yelling at them to come back inside. Because she was sleeping, as she said she was napping.
It's funny how him and Janie have completely overlooked the fact that they're dumping Daniel in. Daniel's court date is September 3rd. They've both completely overlooked the fact that they're admitting here that Daniel would yell at the children. In the documents, it's like, something like they never get yelled at or something. It's always just a calm voice of now Lily. But they've basically admitted here.
So when I came back down behind Mom's, I came right into the house to go and grab the keys. If Lily and Jack were in Mom's RV or around the RV, I would have heard them, right? Because I could hear the dog barking when I was coming down the hill. Because Tucker usually barks when the kids are out in the yard or I'm out in the yard. And when I came down to the trailer, went into the house and grabbed the keys.
So have you noticed that he's forgotten the part of the narrative where Janie wasn't supposed to be there? He's not saying that in terms of, well, I didn't go there because I didn't think Janie was there. He's saying, well, the dog would have barked. He's also not pointing out the fact that, according to Janie, the kids wouldn't go round near the dog. So their arguments are basically, they're blowing each other's arguments out of the water, essentially. Because the way he's saying it makes it sound like if they went into the RV, you would hear the dog barking. They'd never go into the RV. But again, he's ignoring the part of the narrative where supposedly Janie wasn't there. Yeah, and Belinda pointed out yesterday. What are you doing? Don't you pester her. I think Mouse is in a devilish mood. He's looking at a mirror and he's gone now. I think he was just about to start pestering her. Sorry. They both claimed Lily poked her head in the room. When Belinda asked Malaya when she last saw Lily, Malaya said, or when she last saw the children, she told Belinda she last saw them when she put them to bed on Thursday night. So their stories are falling apart. Whoops. We woke up and so many cases, far too many cases. we woke up and the kids were gone. We heard nothing. It's oh my gosh. You guys are squirreling. You talk about me squirreling out when I look at the chat right now. Oh, seriously. Anyway, but more of this.
I came out through the front door. That's how I know the kids didn't come out through the front door, because the wrench was still jammed in the porch door on the outside. So I went and I proceeded to go to the car.
So he's got that he's got that thing with the wrench sorted out now in his head. He doesn't have to pause or try and figure out what it is. It's now definitely a wrench, not a piece of metal. Squirrelating. I like that. That's a good word. The chat has begun squirrelating. The wrench keeps moving. The wrench was on top of the door. Then the wrench was a piece of metal stuck in the door. Now, there's a video that I keep meaning to put up onto my MacBook, and it's on my phone, so I can't show it right now. Brad Wong posted a video a few months back. That was a meme, and it was something along the lines of, if you're not happy with something, throw a wrench at it. And I thought it was a dig at Daniel. Okay, there's lots of comments in here. Yeah, funny how they all needed to sleep till 10. What are you doing? Do you have to go out again? Okay, well, on the outside. I will rewind in just a moment. But I have Mouse doing a little jig in the middle of the room and staring at me like he can, like, penetrate through me with his eyes. So, he's going to get Amira totally pissed in a minute. So, I'm going to have to chuck something up for now.
So tall, the cars are parked and watching me, they all speed away. When I step out the door, they take my pics and videos galore. Drones are buzzing high above my place, yet none appear online to show their face. No one sees my mom making the ground, just silent lights without a sound. It's like Christmas glimpse of fire.
I think we all wish we could be a fly on the wall in the courtroom, don't we? Okay, I'll run that back a little bit then, because I missed something. Mouse is still outside. I'll let him just entertain himself. Honestly, he's worse than Daniel today with his pee breaks.
And when I came down to the trailer, went into the house and grabbed the keys. I came out through the front door. That's how I know the kids didn't come out through the front door, because the wrench was still jammed in the porch door on the outside.
Yeah, the wrench was still jammed in the porch door on the outside. That's different again. Is he saying the porch door, the porch door as in the porch door was outside and the wrench was jammed in that, or the wrench was still jammed in the porch door on the outside? It's a bit ambiguous, but he is saying porch door on the outside. Now, we had Malay saying the wrench was above the door. We had Daniel saying there was a bit of metal in the door. Now the wrench is in the door on the outside. It was on the inside to keep a bear out, while there was an unlocked sliding door and a hen house full of chickens to distract this mythical bear. Well said. Yeah. Exactly. It's to stop someone going out the front door. Because it would be much easier to just simply dash out the front door and make a beeline straight to a vehicle, as opposed to going out the sliding door, which probably would be heard, going up the yard, being seen by Jamie. Now, I'm just wondering if anyone has actually tried to jam a wrench in a door. Please let me know if you have, because I'm not even sure how that works. Like, I couldn't jam a wrench in any of my doors. Must have been a koala bear. It was probably a drop bear. Yeah. So he would have to put the wrench in the door, then go to the other door, hoping he doesn't get eaten by the bear on the way there. If the door was locked, he'd be screwed. The door should open inward in Canada. Building code. Oh. That's probably building code here, because I think all doors here open inward as well. Good question. Exactly. The only way to leave would be out that sliding door, which was not completely silent, and past Janie's. And Janie would see. Let's see. I know. There's 2 or 3 versions of pretty much everything, isn't there? Yeah. He did too. If the wrench is on the outside, why did he have to go back around and unlock it from the inside? It doesn't make sense. Oh, okay. Using a butter knife to keep a door closed. I'm not sure how that works, but interesting. Yep, there's smart bears out in Pictou County. They know that it's not trespassing if they use the front door. Yeah. Oh, there was nothing to code with that trailer, that's for sure. That is for sure. slides into the casing. Okay, cool. Mm. Yeah. My friend used to do that. Just put it in the tracks and you can't open it. We had windows that used to slide like that as well. And we used to do the same thing and put a bit of dowel in the tracks. Okay, I'm ignoring that little turd of a chihuahua who's outside barking at the birds.
So I went and I proceeded to go to the car, and that must have been, I can't speak for Mom, but that must have been when Mom.
Why does he proceed to do everything? Who says that? I proceeded to go to the car. Yeah, there's no code for those wooden steps, that's for sure.
Came outside and talked to Malaya, right? And as I said, I went in the car, I did Lansdowne Road, went down around.
Hang on. So I really want to have a look. Sorry, I interpreted it the wrong way. I know you were talking about using it to stop a sliding door, but anyway. I need to do a side-by-side of all his different versions of this as well.
Kids didn't come out through the front door because the wrench was still jammed in the porch door on the outside. So I went and I proceeded to go to the car, and that must have been, I can't speak for Mom, but that must have been when Mom came outside and talked to Malaya, right?
That must have been when Mum came outside and talked to Malaya. What, as you were proceeding to the car, but you didn't see her? Like, maybe it's the Home and Alone thing. Oh dear.
And as I said, I went in the car, I did Lansdowne Road, went down around Lansdowne Station Road where Bradley lives, came out the McLeod Road, and then came down Gairloch Road back to the house. No, well, I shouldn't say that. I went up in behind where up behind the house, you'll see, if you look on the map, there's a little dirt road. And I went up there.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And that's where it comes from, where I met Mom up there. And I asked Mom, "Are you getting in the car with me?" And she said, "No, I'm going to continue to search this area." The kid.
So now Brad has said that Daniel did not go along Brad's road. I mean, we can take it either way. This narrative of what routes he took. Now he said that he was only gone about 15 minutes. But he also said that when he went up Lansdowne Road that he was going about 15 kilometres an hour, and he went all the way up to the train tracks. Well, I haven't gotten around to measuring it, but I would imagine that heading up Lansdowne Road to those train tracks and back, that's probably a 2 kilometre round trip. If he's going 15 kilometres an hour, and he's also stopping at every single culvert and every dirt road, and now he's going along Lansdowne Station Road and up McLeod Road, and then has to double back because he forgot that he was actually meant to go up that side road and meet Janie as well. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive to do all that in 20 minutes and checking every culvert and every drain and everything like that. But he screwed up his narrative. He suddenly remembered that Janie had said about running into him on that back road. And I know that I've called him out in the past before with his narrative and said, well, why doesn't he ever talk about meeting Janie there? So clearly he's listened to content creators calling him out over not meeting Jamie when he's that's supposed to be part of the narrative, and he's thrown it in. But the thing is, if he was telling this how it happened, he would miss that part out, because he would be visualizing it as he's telling it. So he's not telling anything that is remotely based in truth here. He's just trying to remember what the last version of the story was, and he forgot that he has to add Janie into it. Well, now here's the thing, because we were told by Brad that that's where he turned around. Brad or Justin said that's where he turned around. Now, I can't remember if one of Daniel's versions also had him turning around here. But then, more recently, he's changed it to him going all the way up to the other train tracks, like further up Lansdowne Road, and then turning there. So going like all the way up Lansdowne Road and turning, which I think he did that so he could turn around and say, well, see, look, I did go all the way up Lansdowne Road and I didn't see the blanket. I'm buffering. So frustrating. I was having issues this morning with, I don't know if it's StreamYard or my computer, but when I was setting stuff up in StreamYard, things were going haywire. Not buffering for you. Well, Janie's narrative does seem to be a bit isolated in places, doesn't it? And, you know, was it Sunny or Charmaine asked Daniel, when did Janie tell you that she heard the children? And I think he basically said, oh, I don't think she told me, or something like that. I'd have to go back through. But there's so many instances where you think, was Janie there? Welcome in, TJ's mum. Yep. Nailed it. Good question. Could Janie's car have been the last car that came into the driveway? And welcome in, Coldburn. Maybe he used Janie's car as part of the running around and doing stuff. Yeah, exactly. We don't know if Janie didn't head out on Thursday evening or something, or if she wasn't there overnight on Thursday because maybe she stays somewhere else. He does need a pair of underpants over his outfit, that's for sure. I agree. Oh dear. This whole narrative around the search just really bugs me because it changes so much. And I'm just making myself a note because that needs to be another one of the videos that I look at doing.
Get far, right? Because at that time, me and Mom were both under the belief of the children wandered into the woods. That was the only thing that seemed plausible to us. And people never understood.
Okay, make this make sense. The only thing that seemed plausible to him was that the children wandered off into the woods. And apparently it was the only thing that seemed plausible to Janie as well. And yet, all he did, according to him, was go and check the little cabins in the woods. And then he got in his car and he drove around all these places around Lansdowne Station. why would you need to drive around Lansdowne Station if the only logical thing for you is that they wandered into the woods? Wouldn't you just be searching in the woods as opposed to jumping in the car and driving around? It doesn't make sense. He's saying one thing and then contradicting himself. I think I've certainly got questions about that as well. The Justin situation bothers me because Malaya said to Janie, not to Janie, to Belinda, that Justin was staying in the RV. Or was staying in Janie's thing. We had the story of her staying the night at a friend's or boyfriend's or something. She could well have been brought in as an alibi. Because they're all hanging their stories on Janie heard the kids. Even though apparently Daniel and Malaya didn't hear them playing in the yard. They're certain they were playing in the yard, but they didn't hear them playing in the yard. Yeah. Why did she need to go back to bed and why didn't she go into town? Yes, so true. And this is the other thing that bugs me. The story of she had her alarm set for 6 o'clock. She messaged the school at 6:17 or 6:18 to say they weren't going to school. But she didn't check that they were... Actually, she didn't check to see how they were. Like, I'm sorry, if your kid's sick, that pretty much takes up, like, what, 90% of your brain space? So you're not going to just go, oh, yeah, the kid was sick yesterday. I'll call them in sick. I won't check and see how they are now. You know, that they could have a massive fever. They could have developed a massive fever overnight, but I'm not worried. I'm just going to sleep in and I won't check on them. Yeah, I think they were all very busy Thursday night. I think there's not a lot of sleep that was happening around that area Thursday night. And I think it's not just those three. Sorry, just jotting something else down. Honestly, you should see my notebook after a live stream. It's always a mess. Yep. Not only that, but she talks about something about we were driving around. Yeah. She mentioned something about we were driving. Not Daniel, we were driving. And see, that's the big thing for me. Daniel, in these live streams with Sonny and Charmaine, has started pushing this whole thing of, oh, my apologies, I spoke over the top of you. I'm sorry, I just do that because I've got ADHD. He never does that up until Sonny and Charmaine. The only time he's ever done it is when DT said about, well, where they found the blanket that's on the way to your uncle's place, and he panicked and he butted in really quickly with, oh, I've never seen the boot prints and I've never seen the blanket, and he was like, he did not want to go down that path. So, you know, yeah, I think a lot of the kids were sick was either one of them had a black eye or a new bruise of some sort, or she just couldn't be bothered getting out of bed. If she was on like she was using shadow pens, probably some mornings when she was just too effed to get out of bed. That's the question. What happened after they were seen on CCTV? There is nothing when it talks about Malaya FaceTiming Cindy. There's no definite mention there of Cindy seeing the kids. All we get is she would have seen the children. She would have seen the children if, when, what. Like, there's only a half a thought there. Now that I'd love to watch. That I'd really love to watch. They would struggle, wouldn't they? They would really struggle. Oh. I have to go back and check that out. So in an early live on Sundays, Daniel said they got pizza and ate it on a bench. But in the documents, they got poutine at Acropole. Not only that, the whole thing with Tim Hortons and Malaya thinks she got the kids a bagel. She doesn't know, but she thinks she got them a bagel. I want to know more about this bogged car. I really do. Thank you for that, Sure Cares. Oh, hello, Taka. Good morning. Good girl. Door's open. Taka's finally surfaced. Oh, dear. He has CRS, can't remember shit. Oh, I know. So many different options for them. Crazy. Utterly crazy. I definitely need to go back. Again, so many pictures where Lily's hair is in her face. No, Mouse. Mouse is going to pester Taka now. Honestly, it's worse than having toddlers some days. Exactly, that is the truth of it. It never happened. That's why it's all so vague.
And the stress level that runs through your mind. I mean, the stress level that
Hang on.
your mind has.
I'm not sure what he was talking about there.
Me and Mom were both under the belief of the children wandered into the woods. That was the only thing that seemed plausible to us. And people will never understand the stress level that runs through your mind. I mean, the stress level that your mind has to endure at a time of crisis. Most people will never be in the position that I was in at that time, that my mother was in at that time, or Malaya was in at that time.
Oh, get out the violins. No, Taka didn't let me sleep. I did get a solid block of time from when I crashed out about 7 o'clock with a migraine. And I think I must have crashed out for a few hours. But then again, from like midnight through to 4 o'clock, she was just up every hour. I think she just thinks she needs to go outside. But given the size of her, I don't want to take chances on that. So yeah, she but you know, she's sleeps in. She's just crawled out of bed now because she can hang out till 4 o'clock and sleep until whenever. It really is therapy speak, isn't it? It's complete BS. It's a new line that he's come up with that he thinks it sounds good. Yep. He does. He wants the Nobel Prize Stress Award. Nobody's ever gone through this much stress. I could tell you so many people who've had missing children who've gone through this much stress. Welcome in, Chip. Good to see you here. Yeah, quite likely that. I don't think Daniel was panicking that day, because I think he was just so rugged out that, yeah, I don't think there was any stress in it for him, because he was hitting the pipe beforehand, in my opinion. I honestly think that he was on a bender for several days. Yeah. They do have the banking statements. They'll know, but we probably won't ever know. Unless I don't know how those things go in courts in Canada. Like, I mean, in America, things are so transparent. But I'm just getting a sense that even if this case goes to court, it's going to be not so transparent. I know, him and his words, he surveyed all the culverts and dirt roads. Yeah, and I hope, presumably they got banking records from Paddy as well. But they obviously wouldn't release that. But that's a really good point. I'm glad you see that with the scratch on his face, because he's still pushing it's an old scar. Well, if it's an old scar, why was it so red in some of those interviews and looked like a real scratch? And why is it not visible now? Because that confuses me. I can look at old scars and they don't suddenly go red all of a sudden. Yeah, I bet that old scar got irritated. I do think there was some serious fighting happening Thursday night. I think there was some yelling. Janie talks about, that she didn't hear anything, and things that Janie says point me towards thinking there was an argument. Yeah. Now, some scars take a while to calm down. Like, if you've got a surgery scar, that can take a long time before it finally goes white. But a scratch on the face is not going to suddenly come up red and be an old scar that you've had for like 10 years and then go white again. Did he say that as well? Another time he said it was an old scar that he'd had for years. It was a scratch. There's some really clear shots of it in the interview footage where you can see it's definitely a scratch. It's not a scar. But, Daniel wants everyone to think that it is. Again, it just makes him look all the more guilty. Exactly. When they go white, I've never had a scar that's gone white and then suddenly gone red again. And the ones that do take a long time to go white are the raised ones. That's not a raised scar. Yeah. I wonder too, with the footage that they won't show, if maybe that shows perhaps 2 cars were taken or a different car was taken. It did. It looked just the right size for a scratch from a fingernail. Ouch. My scar from when I had my ankle surgery hasn't gone white yet. That's kind of an ugly scar. and I had burns, and they took well over 10 years before even just the skin discoloration kind of started to vanish. Yeah, you couldn't run through the woods unless you're on a trail, and yet he ran into a branch. Like, yep, sure. Yeah, it certainly does seem like a scratch. Oh yeah, and that's nasty when you get whipped in the face with a branch. But kind of didn't look like that though on his face. Could be wrong. I need to look at it again.
That's almost fabulous. I mean, like almost unfathomable to.
Hang on, what's unfathomable?
That my mother was in at that time, or Malaya was in at that time. That's almost fabulous. I mean, like almost unfathomable to most people. That
was a tricky one for him. That was a 5-letter word, but he couldn't turn it into not 5-letter, 5-syllable word. Unfathomable. But he couldn't turn it into 5 syllables, so it became unfathomable. Nice try, Daniel. Maybe that page in the book was smeared. It sounded like he was going to say fabulous. He really, that was a tricky one. I think he probably needs to stick with the 3-syllable words. Once you start getting into the 4 and 5-syllable words, that's when it starts becoming a challenge. Yeah, I think unfathomable is exactly like hysterical, and dromes with an M. Oh dear. Now, I normally wouldn't make fun of people when they have trouble saying things, because I have my fair share. But this is Daniel, and we know that he loves his big words. So when he's having a shot at this big word and it falls apart, it is just kind of amusing. Hysterical is definitely one of my favorites. So hysterical. I think I need to I might have to create some artwork around that. Well, I do wonder how that ATV was so clean. In the early news footage, you can see the ATVs that were used by the searchers, and they're nowhere near as clean. I know, and that's what's got me confused. Why was he starting to say it sounds like fabulous? Maybe he thinks that particular part of his narrative is fabulous. He is unfathomable. That is for sure. Yep. He certainly was. He was pushing the boundaries of the thesaurus. Poor Daniel.
just don't understand that. It's
Hang on. Let's just listen to that bit again. Just try and figure out if he was actually trying to say something intelligent.
I was in at that time. That's almost fabulous. I mean, like almost unfathomable to most people. That just don't understand that. It's such a hard concept to grasp, being in such a tragic moment and trying to think on your feet and think properly.
Oh my gosh. I like that. A drone is a drone controlled by gnomes. Oh dear. He did. He almost said fabulous. The unfathomable Mr. Martell and his fabulous BD. Again, he's talking about a tragic moment. Like, how many times do you have to leak the whole thing about this being a tragic moment? That's what's got me confused. Maybe all I can think of is that in his head he thought it sounded like a really good bit of psychobabble, and he thought it was pretty fabulous. I don't know. It's just, to me, it is just totally unfathomable. I can't even try to pronounce it wrong. What did he really say? Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what he was trying to say. Apparently it's a hard concept to grasp. But again, he goes back to talking about a tragic moment and having to think on your feet and think properly. That's leakage right there. He wasn't thinking on his feet when he tried to use unfathomable. But he's talking about when they rang the RCMP. He's talking about having to think on his feet. That's basically having to come up with the BS in the moment. If children are missing, you're not thinking on your feet. You're thinking basically of where they might be. We just don't understand because it's such a hard concept to grasp. I know we can't understand poor Daniel. It's nobody has experienced life like Daniel, apparently. We have heard unflappable used before. Exactly. If you're telling the truth, you don't need to think on your feet. He's trying to say that in terms of searching for the children. But he's just said the only thing that seems plausible is that they went into the woods. So if that's the only plausible thing, even if you have got the concept of thinking on your feet out of context, you still don't really need to think on your feet if you know that that's where the children are likely to have gone. I know he did say the quiet stuff out loud. There's no filter. You use the same thesaurus as Daniel, presumably. I assume your presumption of my vocabulary being inadequate is precisely incorrect, and your sarcastic insinuation is wrong. Yep, that is correct, Daniel. Oh dear. He just keeps stepping in it so much. Yeah. thinking on your feet is not actually telling the truth. Thinking on your feet is basically, yeah, coming up with your alibi, figuring out what lies you can come up with. There's been a few stories about where Janie was supposed to have been. So it would be interesting to know exactly where she was. Yeah. Thinking on his feet is basically the finding excuses, coming up with the lies. Yeah, I know. I really, really hope that they've got statement analysts who sat down and gone through these. Because the stuff that comes out, there is so much leakage. I could go for months just going through Daniel's statements and pulling out the leakage, pulling out the times when he gives himself away and the inconsistencies and all those sort of things. So I do hope that RCMP actually are paying attention to this.
And so after that, I came back down to the house. Maybe in Charmaine's, I might have left the part out where I drove up behind and I talked to Mom. And she was still searching that area. I came back down to the house. I don't know if that was in the part with Charmaine's, but I had to clarify that.
Yeah, because I can't remember which version of the story I told then. So now I've got to try and figure out how the story went again. So I'm just going to stall while I try and remember what the next part of the story is, because I kind of got out of sync, and because I had to add this extra bit. That's basically what he's doing here. He had to add in the part about going up that side road and seeing Janie, and now it's stalled his narrative. Because when it's a made-up narrative, if you want to put a wrench in it, essentially, you stop them, or you ask them to go back to a different bit. You ask them to tell it in a different order. And that's what has happened here, because he's trying to incorporate Janie's story into his own narrative. It's basically put him in a position where he can't get the flow for his own narrative. You can just pick what you like, I think, with that now. That what they've said, there's 20,000 different versions. So I think at this point in time, you could just make up your own version, really. Daniel would probably tell you it was right. We'll need him up for all the leakage videos, that's for sure. Either there was that sort of stuff in her RV, or there was proof that Justin was living there. But what frustrates me the most is that under the Missing Persons Act, they could have just said, get your dog out, we're searching now. Full stop, end of story. But instead they were like, let's be nice and get a warrant. I know, his mouth is way ahead of his brain, which is good for us. But not good for him, that's for sure. And you're right, and he's volunteering these. He really doesn't notice at all.
And, add that to the conversation, because I don't think I totally might have skipped over that aspect of that original part when I was in the car, where I was up back All I did was just drive up back a little ways and did a U-turn and then come right back down. But on that way, I talked to Mom because she was at the top of the hill.
Yeah, no, Daniel, Janie said that you kept going. She said you ran into her and she said, "Did you find the children?" And you said no. And you said, "Do you want to come searching with me?" And she said no. And she went back down and you kept going. But now apparently you did a U-turn and drove back down. Oh, I know. I think you are so right. He's definitely like more versions of any story from true crime. And I think too, if you saw the inside of the house with the Phoebe Bishop case, if anyone was following my channel back in like around the time when this case first started, Phoebe went missing on 15th of May last year. And after arrests, the owner of the house showed media inside the house and there was just black on the walls. So I think if they were actually doing it somewhere where it could be smelled on the property, I think for starters, anyone who'd gone into the trailer would have seen any black on the walls if it was in there. Smells like ammonia. So I don't know any of that stuff. So that's what I believe. They were trying to find that piece of blanket. Lost it in the dark. It was all hands on deck to try and find it. And unfortunately for them, Haley and that found it before they did. No way the cops would have missed it. Yeah, and I think if it was something that obvious, then even though in these cases usually they're going to overlook drug use, if it looked like a meth house, they would certainly be asking questions. And they would certainly be looking for anything that could be potential evidence. Anyway, keep going with a bit more of this.
Now,
And the police weren't there at that time because when I got all the way back down to the house, I had the RCMP were just starting to come into the yard, and I didn't want to block them in, so I parked right next to it in the marsh. There's the little parking spot right next to the house in the marsh there.
Got his story wrong again. He said before that when he came back, he couldn't get into the driveway. Not only that, when he said when he came back, they were all surrounding Malaya. They weren't just arriving, they were all surrounding Malaya. He's kind of getting himself a little bit confused. More than a little bit, I should say. Now that we realise that the blanket wasn't 6 foot up in the air, that it was actually at ground level pretty much, 3 foot up. And when you look at that image, you can see the bottom of the blanket. That's the ground there. That log is on the ground. So it does seem like maybe someone drove past there on an ATV and it snagged on the tree. Or maybe it did fly off the back of a truck and land on the ground there. Because the thing that I find interesting is that you have those 2 bits of rag on the ground, and according to Hayley, that was directly under the piece of blanket. Now, we don't see it there in that photo, so I think there's slight error in the description there. But the thing that stands out to me is you've got this piece of blanket was found, and other rags were found there as well, which to me suggests that that could well be a landing spot for if things fly off the back of a truck, that those other things might have come off the back of someone else's truck in the past. But certainly the trail, when you look at that trail, that you have to go up, or that you would go up where the piece of blanket was found, that's a back route, not just to the pipeline, but also to Ron's property. No, Earl's property. Because the pipeline runs along the side of Earl's property. So let's say you were cutting through from Gerlock Road to Earl's property, and you were on a 4-wheeler, so you didn't want to go up the road. Well, that old logging trail would be the most logical route. You would come off the pipeline, you would go down to that logging trail. Or even if there's another bit, not necessarily straight off the pipeline. But it certainly seems that that logging trail would be a back route straight to Earl's property without having to go up the road. So, it certainly makes me question the blanket. Yeah. Well, given that the children apparently slept the whole time, that also brings that into question, doesn't it? Let me just see if I've got a map that I can bring up just quickly. I so need to clean up this MacBook. It's just got too many photos and stuff on here that I can't find anything. But if you look at basically if you were to follow, and Chelsea said there's a lot of different trails that come off that little, there's lots of little back trails all through there, apparently. I would love for someone to take a drone from Janie's property up the back there, across to the location of where the blanket was found, and to see what the trails are. Now, I haven't got it on the MacBook. When Kent has done his drone footage, he's never covered that area. And I'd really like to see aerial footage from the house at Gerlock Road across to where the blanket was found, and then across to Earl's, and see what all the different trails are. I do need to do that. We should look at that at some point in time in a live stream. Just look at the different routes to get to different locations. Yeah, see, if that was used to tie something down on the back of the ATV and you were headed back, then it could quite well fall off going on that trail. Good question. What was the strip used for? So many questions, aren't there? We'll have a little bit more of this.
And so that's when the RCMP started to show up, and they were walking down and, you know, talking to Malaya. I parked over there, and I was going to go back into the woods and continue searching because I wanted to maximize the amount of time that I was searching to see if the kids were actually found, because I already did the roads, so I know that they didn't take the roads, because children always take the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance for children is roads and walkways or sidewalks or anything of that nature.
Absolutely.
This has been bothering me since the moment I heard it. Taking the path of least resistance? What an odd way to word it. They're going to take the path of least resistance. I thought you said, Daniel, that they were just going to go into the woods. Yeah, I think that's something to be working on, definitely. Because I think it would be interesting to have a look at those different routes. Yeah, just the language that he uses to me sometimes just doesn't work. Sidewalks. Children always take the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance is roads, walkways, sidewalks. But you said, Daniel, you told the searchers on day one that they would never go over the road. You've just said that the most logical place for them to have been is up in the woods. Well, that's not the path of least resistance. How does he get this in his brain? How does he come up with this crap? Exactly. There is no sidewalk. You hear on the dispatch, they said the children never go over the road. He's tripping over his stories. Yeah, wading through waist deep water, but the children would go through the path of least resistance. How does that work? Yeah, he's an expert on everything. Don't you know that? Daniel knows so much about everything, even if he can't quite handle 5-syllable words. But other than that, he knows so much about everything.
So that I was always under the impression of that. And at the time, that was the only thing that seemed feasible to me. If they wandered away from the house, they would have just taken the roads.
This is like less than a minute after he said that it made most sense that they went up into the woods. And now it's the most feasible thing is that they would have taken to the roads, even though they never went on the roads. He's got himself a bit lost. Yeah, it's like Malaya a year later going searching in the woods and insisting that the children were taken by someone and that she likes to think that they're being well looked after. Like, do they think we're complete utter morons? They're not the type of kids to ever do all the things we're claiming they did that morning. Who knows what they're supposed to not have done? It's so confusing, but that is so spot on. Like, pick a story and stick to it. He is. That's exactly what he's doing. He's like throwing shit up and trying to see what sticks. You just got to wonder. Yeah, and that's so perfectly logical. And not only that, this sudden idea of path of least resistance. Well, according to Janie, Ron still went with their mother into town. So you don't hear them saying, so we thought we'd ring Ron just to see if maybe he saw them when he was heading out into town. Because we know that Ron didn't actually go into town, but I'll save that for another time. But why now, Daniel, are you saying that that's the most logical thing when you told RCMP they wouldn't go across that road, they wouldn't go on that road, and when a minute earlier you were saying the most logical thing is that they wandered into the woods? There weren't there? No mention of that at all. Given that, Lily was a bit of a mother, they never stopped to think there's a bag missing. And they never thought, let's just quickly ring the school and just make sure that they didn't somehow get on the bus. Because apparently they didn't know what they were wearing. Yep, I think you've nailed that. He's throwing shit up in the air and it rains back down on him. Definitely. Actually, that's what he told RCMP. But when you go back and you listen to the audio from Wayne Mackenzie, I think it was, he basically throws Ron in it and says that when they realised the children was missing, Ron said to his mother, "Do you mind?" And Wayne and Ron went to Janie's place. So he's basically been thrown under the bus in terms of this whole story of him taking Janie's or their mother to town. Because according to his brother, they both went to Janie's. So, another big hole in the narrative. Oh, wow, how freaky. One of your kids got on the wrong school bus on the way home. First thing they did was contact all the other bus drivers and control to find her. That would be a horrible thing to happen. He's gaslit himself into thinking that he's gaslit everyone else. He doesn't know what he's saying. He really does. It's just insane.
I stopped at the culverts and in the small streams and stuff and see if they were there playing in the water. When I got back to the house,
Yep. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. It was 1 or 2 degrees overnight. I can't remember which one it was. It still would have been below 10 degrees. But he thought they might be playing in the water. And that's not really a path of least resistance. He stopped at the culverts and the small streams and stuff to see if they were playing in the water. He's throwing this in now because of all the water references that he's been called out on. I know, that's the other odd thing with that, isn't it? He's like, so I went to Ron's place and then we went to Janie's together. Why not just go to Janie's and then ring Ron? Well, I guess at least you knew that she was on a bus. So, yeah, that would have been one reassurance. 2 hours late. Oh, my gosh. You must have been beside yourself. Even just knowing where she was, knowing she was on a bus, you still must have been beside yourself. Wow. Someone said that Earl used to be a trapper. So it's possibly something that is known in the family anyway. Yeah, I got myself ready for school, but I would get a lift to school of a morning because Mum had to head to work at that time anyway, so I'd get a lift. But yeah. E.T. phonedrome. That's got to be one of the best lines I've seen in a while. Yeah, apparently he also went to Brad's and told him the kids were missing. So again, we have multiple narratives for Ron. Yes, and apparently one of Janie's brothers is a grave digger. But playing in the water at like 9-10 o'clock in the morning, early May, when the water's going to be fecking freezing, the outside temperature's going to be fecking freezing. And according to one version that we heard, the original version, Jack only had a pull-up by the sounds of it. Just make it make sense. I know. Why randomly go and tell Brad? Like, you were home alone at 5 and 6. Wow. I used to, like, from when I was like 12, from when I was like grade 7 onwards, I'd be getting home after school on my own. But, you know, that's a reasonable age. I'd have jobs to do. I'd come home, do my tasks. I'd cook dinner for when Mum got home. Yeah. And then there's that fisticuffs between Ron and Brad more recently as well. So I get the impression that Ron and Janie were closer than her and her other brothers. So maybe they are similar in ages. There's a mug and a t-shirt in which one? The ET drone home. ET phone drone. There probably is actually. There needs to be a drone one. Oh, the boots, yeah. The boots that if you go wading in water with those boots, they're just going to fill up in water. But, you know, and that's the path of least resistance, going in freezing cold water.
No.
Like, I don't think...
It really set in that I didn't see the children on the way, so they wouldn't have walked the roads.
Did Malaya's?
Oh, okay, they wouldn't have walked the roads because he didn't see them on the way, not because it's actually been established that they wouldn't have done that in the first place. They all had a stepdad. I believe it was a big family, apparently, and they had a stepdad. But I do believe that they were like all full siblings, from what I can understand. I would have to double check on that, but I would imagine they're probably close in age. Oh yeah, Lily hated being cold and wet, so they would have come straight back in the house, Daniel says. Thank you. Yeah, I think you were the one that sent me all that information, weren't you, Karen? 5 brothers, 1 sister. They all have the same mother and father, and they were living with a stepfather. That's correct, isn't it? Yeah, Brad and Wayne had a fisticuffs. Was it Brad and Ron? I've got the thing that Brad put in Facebook about it. Yeah. Because why not? Checking freezing, it's like less than 10 degrees. Lily's still in her pajamas. So they go wandering down the roads that they don't normally go down because they don't cross the roads or go on the roads. They take the path of least resistance, which leads them to a cold creek that they're going to splash around in. Yeah, right, Daniel. Sure. He really can't get his story straight at this point in time. This is after his 2nd or 3rd toilet break. So it seems like his brain is kind of ejected by this point. Yeah, thank you. They were adopted by the man that their mother married, and he was a land surveyor in Pictou County. When did the fight happen between Brad and Ron, or Brad and Wayne? It was a few months ago. I'll have to drag out that screenshot. I think I put it in my Brad folder. I'll have to drag it out and show you.
Actions represent that
Hang on.
of somebody.
That's why I stopped at the culverts and in the small streams and stuff and see if they were there playing in the water. When I got back to the house, it really set in that I didn't see the children on the way, so they wouldn't have walked the roads.
No, Daniel, they wouldn't have. Yeah. Janie's mum married some guy and he adopted her, like all her siblings. Don't know what the story was with her father. But yeah, apparently the stepfather was a land surveyor, which is probably why they have all that land. Yeah, when you look at it that way, Daniel's grandfather knew all the nooks and crannies of Pictou County. He was clearly quite familiar with the area. I know. Make that make sense. They wouldn't have walked the roads. They definitely went into the woods, apparently. But he searched the roads because that seemed to be the path of least resistance. But they were also probably playing in streams and culverts. So if you can actually find some logic in that, let me know. Because I cannot apply logic to that and come out with a logical explanation of what he's trying to say here. Because it is. He's just throwing every single bit of shit at the wall that he can to see what sticks, and all of it's just coming smacking straight back down again. Yeah, 26. She said she's been there for 26 years, so I wonder where she was before that. I found that interesting that she said that. Oh yeah, the math is well and truly mathing at this point in time. He's making very little sense at all. he doesn't have the faintest idea what he's talking about. Not only that, but his original narrative has just completely gone out the window. Like, honestly, you just got to wonder. You really do got to wonder sometimes. But, you know, he wasn't... He stopped using long before the children went missing, apparently. He can't tell you when. He's not going to tell you how long he's been clean. I don't know what the question... I don't know how it works. But this one and Charmaine's, you can definitely tell. You think it's rock, not math. I'm like way out of my depth here. I don't know about the stuff. So but he's definitely gone and had something and come back, and his brain's just really not making connections. Everything has now become completely unfathomable for him because his brain's just stopped working. Yeah, well, the geocaching suggests that he definitely has an understanding of the area. Well, I don't even know what's what in terms of terminology, which just shows my ignorance. Like, I've had to rely on people explaining things to me. It is one of my huge areas of complete utter ignorance. Yep, unfathomable. You could say it so many different ways. Yeah, that's a good question, given that they were adopted. That is a really good question. I think it goes back to, I do think that she resented Malaya and the children, because it sounds like Daniel's marriage was kind of like the dream marriage. And then I suspect that when Malaya got pregnant with baby M, that for Janie, that was like the final nail in the coffin. It meant that, yeah, Daniel wasn't going to get back with his wife, because all of a sudden he had this whole instant family and a new baby on the way. So I think she resented them because of that. My opinion. Oh, wow. I had no idea about that. Wow, that's fascinating knowledge. Yeah, here we don't hear so much of it on the news. We have a massive problem here in Victoria at the moment with gangs of youth and knives, which just so doesn't sound like something that should be happening here in Australia. But there's definitely a major drug influence here in Australia now, but we don't hear so much about it. Oh, so sorry that you went through that. Never easy living with an addict or having an addict in your family or anything like that, that's for sure. Yeah, that's my impression. It's a sudden dopamine hit and then it wears off. So he's probably just, gone for another quick hit. And his brain hasn't really caught up at all. Wow. The scary thing is the level of risk now for like police, fireys, ambulance and all that. Like they actually have to carry Narcan because there is a risk for them. Like you just have to touch fentanyl. Some fentanyl can be so toxic that just touching it can be an issue. So when you have first responders attending like drug overdoses or things like this, it's putting them at huge risk as well, which is such a concern. It's a frightening thought that these days now, if you are a first aider or a first responder, that risk to your own life, like, yeah, having the Narcan also because you might need it for someone that you're attending to, but it's a scary thought. Yes, we hear a lot about the raids here, that's for sure. And we've got some major tobacco wars happening here in Victoria. That's what the children smelled like, according to the uncle's audio. The bags of clothes sent to MBM to Malaya from the trailer smelled the same. Wow. Yeah. It would be such a difficult thing to have to do. So is that administered like an EpiPen? Is it like one of those kind of needle things where you just kind of have to inject it? Because that would be daunting. So Sunny's channel is called A Criming Shame. I will, as soon as I get off this live stream, it's a nasal spray. Right, cool, thanks for that. I'm so ignorant, aren't I? So it is an IM one. Is it just like so Nexalone is a nasal spray and the injection one is like you would with a EpiPen, where you just basically hit it and it goes in. Is that correct? If it's if it's IM, surely it would be just that as easy as doing an EpiPen. That said, I've never had to do an EpiPen and I never want to do an EpiPen. Honestly, teenagers at the moment in Australia, we've got some serious issues. Yep, so it's A Criming Shame. I will put the link in the description for this live stream as soon as I get off, so that you can find that and watch it, and I highly recommend it. It was quite revealing. Yeah, I'm meant to carry an EpiPen for a few different things, but I got fed up with they only last 12 months. So you have to get a new script every 12 months. So you're spending, I think I was spending like $30-40 on, you get a script for 2 EpiPens. And then they'd sit there for 12 months and not do anything. So I actually don't even have one anymore. I know that there's a particular type of ant called a jack jumper. I haven't seen them here in Victoria, but I don't know if there's anything similar. Jack jumpers will basically cause anaphylaxis with me. Sulfur allergies. But the last time I had something that had a sulfur drug in it that I didn't realise, again, straight for the anaphylaxis. But I've become very careful about these sort of things. Oh wow, that's not fun. Not fun at all. Yeah. You must take the woofie out. Good night, Karen. Thanks for coming in. And I probably need to get myself some lunch and give these dogs a little bit more attention. So it's probably a good spot to wrap it up. Definitely check out Sunny's live stream. I will link it. But also, if you look for It's a Crime and Shame, you should be able to find it pretty easily. So on that note, thanks for coming in. Please remember to hit the like button on the way out. That always helps me out a lot. And if you're listening on replay, please do leave a comment. Okay, thanks for coming, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.